Hello and welcome to the Analog Toys live stream. It's a very early morning here in Western Australia. It's 1 minute past 6 a.m. I didn't want to have to get up this early, but because my guests had a prior engagement a little bit later on this morning for me, this evening for you, I brought this forward. But that's no big issue really, because it makes this stream better for the UK audience. And I see that my guest has just dropped off from the green room. Let's give him a moment to come back in. The clue's in the title. I'm joined tonight by my friend Scuba Pete. We'll give him a moment to come back in. And it's Chad says, I'm here. It's cool. We can do this now. Chad, you're the reason that I had to get up at 5 a.m. because I was about to announce this stream. And then I realized that you were streaming at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is actually when I wanted to live stream. But no harm, no foul, man, because I do have a large audience in the UK and this is 10 p.m. in the UK. So if I had have streamed a little bit later, it would have been midnight. So it's not great for them. So thank you, Chad, for making me get up early. And, you know, I'm sure the UK audience appreciates it. Okay. My guest has now return to the green room, so let me bring in my good buddy Scuba Pete. How are you? Hello, Pete. Are you there?
Hey,
have you got me or what? I was talking to you and getting no response. Can you hear me? Oh, no. Okay, we shall progress perhaps without Pete for a little while. Let me say hello to everyone in the chat. First of all, Troy Pacelli has been a channel member for 3 months. Thank you, Troy. Much appreciated. And Troy also says, Analog Toys and Scuba Pete. Excuse me. Good guys worth listening to. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you too. Wow. And Troy just gifted 10 channel memberships. Thank you very much. That's very much appreciated. Let's try this again, shall we?
How about now?
Oh. That's better. That's better.
What? You do thumbs up, you get fireworks.
Wow. How did you make that happen?
Let me do that again. Wow. I don't know.
All right. Well, it seems like we have finally connected. You can hear me, yeah?
Yep. I hope so. Dodgy internet.
Okay, no, that's much better. I was talking to you on the other stream like a crazy person, getting no response. So,
like, he's probably like, so what have you been up to?
Hey, how was your Christmas, man?
It was good. It was really low key. You know, just small family get together, which was really nice. And you know, Leslie and I kind of went bonkers giving each other gifts. You know, we went toy shopping together. So you know, we really didn't put anything under the tree since we're empty nesting, you know, it's like we don't have to wrap it anymore. It's good.
Yeah. No, well, we wrapped everything up, but yeah, very similar. We really spoiled each other this year, just because we could. We did a trip to Perth in late November to go and see Coldplay, and while we were down there, my son wanted a PlayStation 5 for Christmas, so we purchased that when we were down there, and because the school holidays are already started, we said, he could have it early. That was a really expensive gift, and I'm like, right, you're not getting anything for Christmas. 2 weeks before Christmas, the wife says, right, so what are we getting our son for Christmas? I was like, we got him a PlayStation 5. She said, yeah, but I'm going to get him some other stuff. I was like, oh, God, here we go. So we just went nuts, and it was good. It was good.
Yep.
Have you got a bit of a delay there still, Pete? I think you still have a bit of a delay there. Last time this happened with Scuba Pete, it was me who kept dropping off. Do you remember that show? And Pete was the pure professional and he just kept the show going. That was fantastic. So, unfortunately, we are having some issues tonight.
God.
Is this a trial run before you do chat stream? Is this the trial run before you do chat stream and get everything?
Or,
yeah,
ironed out. That, or I'm gonna switch to my phone here if it keeps up. Like, jeez.
Jason Anderson, who, how amazing was it to actually put a face to a name finally?
That was fantastic. You know, it's just been this ethereal voice for so long.
Yeah. I wasn't able to catch that live. It was way too early for me, but I watched it on the replay when I was filming my Action Man parachute video, filming all the B-roll in the studio. I was listening to that. So yeah, that was awesome. Cool. Which video is going to go live at 8 p.m. Eastern, I think. Yeah, something like that. It's going live tonight anyway. It's been a while since I've been able to get a video out. I've been a little bit busy. So, but look, the topic of conversation tonight. Sorry, Pete.
Oh, we all are busy. It's like it's not lockdown anymore. It's like crap. I got to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, things have got really crazy for me the last few months, but hopefully, slow start into the new year. So
nice.
So the topic of conversation tonight is I've picked out what I consider to be some of the best Palitoy toy commercials. Now, earlier this year, I ran a GoFundMe campaign to try and secure a whole host of lost commercials. You contributed to that campaign. Thank you very much, Pete.
Yeah. Worthy cause.
And I've always been fascinated by toy commercials from early childhood. That's what, you'll notice a lot of my videos that I've done over the years, I feature some commercials in their entirety. I kind of break up the flow of the video by playing the commercial just because I love them so much and I want to showcase them. I don't know how many other people like me just go out and, Google old vintage toy commercials and just watch all the different ones. So were you big into toy commercials when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be the Kenner kid. You always had like a couple boys, playing in the backyard with their Kenner Star Wars, and I wanted to be one of those Kenner kids so badly. I wanted a backyard that felt like, they always had like really cool sets with like exposed rocks and like a little creek running through it. And I wish that I had that. I mean, we just had grass and a sandbox.
When you were a kid growing up in America, when did toy commercials play? Was it something that was played in between Saturday morning cartoons or?
Yeah, Saturday morning cartoons and then like afternoon cartoons, after school. Those were always chock full. Yep. Yeah, with that with Reagan deregulating it, it was open season on us, which was really cool.
Yeah, like I don't remember myself I honestly don't remember watching Saturday morning cartoons in the UK. Like I'm not even sure if we had them or not, because from a very early age, my family had we started off with a Betamax and then went to VHS, but we've always, we had home video from a very early age. So Saturday mornings were always a case of me and my sister fighting over who got to play their movie, whether she wanted to watch Dirty Dancing or I was going to watch First Blood or Flash Gordon. But it was mostly after school cartoons for us in the UK. I remember that it was not so much a Saturday morning thing. And that's when all the toy adverts would play. And I absolutely love toy adverts. And I've picked an eclectic assortment of ads to play for us today.
Cool.
They're all obviously from Palitoy's stable. I've tried not to pick too many adverts from the same property. Like I could probably do a whole live stream about Action Man commercials, but
Mhm.
we're going to kick off with an Action Man commercial, but it's
Yep.
not going to be 10 Action Man commercials. So kind of the idea today is we're going to play the commercial. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the toys, and I'd really like to get the the American perspective, how you would have reacted to seeing this commercial when you were a kid and things like that. So we'll kick it off with the first one
I
that I picked for tonight. I'm not sure if this is the oldest commercial I've picked today. It's close to it. This is early 70s. So here we have the Action Man Transport Command.
Action Man
and his Transport Command. Tough, realistic models specially designed for Action Man. They're all action. Just look for the Action Man Transport Command badge. It tells you they're the real thing. You can send off for a free workshop accessories kit by collecting the stars with every pack.
Action Man
Transport Command. Only from Palitoy.
Only from Palitoy.
Oh, yeah.
That commercial is before my time. That's like 1974, 75, something like that. I wasn't born until 77, but for some reason, I was always aware of that commercial when I was a kid. It's weird. Because when that first aired, there's no, my family didn't have a video recorder back then. So I don't know if that was something that got replayed at some point, because a lot of those vehicles did stay in the Action Man line for a long time. But that commercial for me, that was the biggest commercial they really did for Action Man, because it showcased all of the vehicles, the classics, the Scorpion tank and things like that. What are your thoughts on that one?
Oh, yeah. That has that. I mean, I can kind of fuzzily recall seeing like the Joe flocked hair commercials, for the 12-inch. Did I freeze again?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think you're on a big delay there, Pete. And he's frozen. Gary's Action Man channel says that advert was still showing in 1980. Thank you for clarifying that, Gary, because, that's kind of what I thought. Like, I have got distinct childhood memories of that commercial. So that totally makes sense that they would have kept playing that, because even though the figures got updated over the years, a lot of those vehicles were still being sold. Maybe not the Land Rover, I don't think, but certainly the Scorpion tank, the helicopter, all that kind of stuff, that was still being sold into the 1980s. So let me catch up on some super chats here real quick. Kevin D'Antonio, he's been a channel member for 3 months. Thank you for the support. Much appreciated. And Troy Pacelli, Analog Toys. Last call with Troy Pacelli. He says, Analog Toys, maybe instead of memberships, I should send super chats to Scuba Pete for better interwebs. Yeah, maybe. Hopefully he gets his issues sorted out, but that's all right. We can still kind of press on without him for now. And Brian Dillingham, thank you. He says, I can't stay, but Happy New Year to you and Scuba. Thank you very much, Brian Dillingham. Much appreciated. And we have Scuba on a totally different setup.
Yep, we're going on the Apple phone. I don't know what is up.
Well, this seems to be working really well, Pete.
Yeah, you're like crystal clear. Your video synced with what you're saying. So you look like a Japanese movie to me. Like
I'm being overdubbed by some drunk Australian man, am I?
Hey, we'll get, by hook or crook, we're doing this.
Well, hey, look, Chad, we're just sorting this out, so there's no technical issues on your stream later on. So Um, and Troy here says, "Oh, he's loving the Palitoy Death Star over your shoulder."
Thank you, Troy. I found that at Star Wars Celebration.
Which was your trip to the UK? Was that earlier this year or last year?
Yeah, no, that was earlier this year. Yep, and we're headed back again.
You are.
This spring. Yep. Oh yeah, we're going for to meet up with everybody again, and also hit the NEC Spring Toy Fair. So.
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest toy shows in the UK, the NEC in Birmingham. So.
Yep.
Have you got some earbuds?
I can scrounge some. Am I echoey?
No, when I speak, it's got a bit of feedback in your microphone.
Dope. Maybe.
We'll get there.
What if is that better?
That's better, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So what did you think of the Action Man Transport Command commercial?
I really liked it. I mean, again, they make this magical environment that just sucks you in. Even as an adult, it's easy just to be like, oh yeah, I want to play with that right now. I want to head out there. I want to get some sticks and some rocks and
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I heard a story when I was a kid from my nan on my grandparent on my dad's side.
Mm-hmm.
Was saying that at some point they had to change Action Man toy commercials because they would actually have vehicles moving around. It made them look like they were, radio controlled or something like that. And, the toy commercial authority said, no, you've got to put kids in it pushing the things around. So it's not kind of false advertising, where people don't think that the vehicles can actually drive on their own and that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Instead of having the string pull it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually a good setup you've got there.
Not bad.
What have you just tucked that into?
It is sitting on a Ewok Village box with a box of C-3POs behind it.
Well, what better for a Scuba Pete toy room than an Ewok Village playset box to hold up the stream?
Why not?
Here's one for you, Pete. Keith Knight says he'll be at Birmingham NEC.
Fantastic, dude.
Did you already know that, or
no? I didn't know. I thought it might be a possibility, but to hear it from straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, that's fantastic.
And George Aitken.
And George is coming. Okay, I knew he was a maybe. Killer.
Gary's Action Man channel here says it's surprising how many times the Intruder turned up in Palitoy Action Man commercials. Until Captain Zargon, he was the only real villain of the line.
Yep.
We all know it was a completely naff toy. It was a rubbish toy.
I'm gonna hug you to death.
Yeah. Give Tom Stone a vicious bear hug. But I think they used the Intruder a lot because it gave them the opportunity to put a little storyline into the commercial. By having an enemy, because outside of that, Action Man just kind of goes on adventures. He's not in conflict with anyone. So,
yep.
All right, let's Wolfie762. Thank you for becoming a channel member, much appreciated. Let's go with the next one. This is another quite old commercial, which I had never seen until we came across these Lost Palitoy toy commercials earlier this year, but it was one of the ones that impressed me the most. So here we go.
Team up with Little Big Man for dangerous missions worldwide. Follow him across treacherous northern snows. Dive into shark-infested seas. Plunge from the sky to dice with death. Little Big Man comes in 6 worldwide adventure packs. They make a great collection. Team up with Little Big Man.
Oh yeah,
That's a good toy commercial.
that is. I mean, it has that Bond-esque kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Jason Anderson says, "Little big man, Tom Cruise."
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it was the Tom Cruise toy line. Yeah. It was the Tom Cruise toy line before we even knew who he was. Little Big Man was a cheaper alternative to Action Man, which I'm not sure if Palitoy made it or if they licensed it. I'm really not that familiar. I never had Little Big Man when I was a kid. I know there are a lot of other British collectors who really get into Little Big Man toys, into collecting those types of toys and stuff. A much cheaper alternative, a lot like kind of Action Jackson type stuff, that level of quality, which, I think for perhaps parents on a budget, like, could you imagine being that kid though at Christmas who really wanted Action Man and then you got Little Big Man?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're not telling your mates.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to get your Action Man and come out and play? Not feeling good. Not good.
Coincidentally, that commercial's got a really good parachuting scene, which I've recently tried to recreate. For channel members and patrons will have seen the video. It's coming out in a couple of hours for the wider audience. But the whole thing of him, skiing around the ski slopes and all of that stuff as well. There's a scene after the paratrooper lands as well where it spins around with his rifle and there's actually a fire burning in the background. I was like, yeah, that's cool.
There was like real smoke there, which, as kids, you would, before you could like get a hold of stuff like that, it's like you would kill to get like a book of matches or the odd firecracker, that you scrounged, found, whatever, and you're like, yes, explosives and things we can burn.
Yeah.
But to be able to add that dimension to your play, not that you were like, oh, I'm going to try to burn down this, shed, but just to have like a little campfire going, that would have been wicked.
Oh, absolutely. My I had about five or six Action Man figures in childhood. Like, I think I had about three were purchased for me over the years from different people. And then, of course, different outfits and stuff. And I had a couple of hand-me-downs. So I think I had about 5 or 6 Action Men, which all eventually came to Australia with me. But I had my favorite Action Man figure. And in childhood, like, I was really big into, when I first discovered First Blood, Rambo became like my childhood cinema hero. It's the 80s for me are divided between my number one cinema hero started off being Indiana Jones, and then around 1985 or 6 it switched to Rambo.
John Rambo.
But that scene after he jumps off the cliff and falls through the tree and cuts his arm open and then sews his arm up. I wanted my Action Man to have to be able to do that. And the dynamic physique Action Man figures did come with a tiny little scar. I don't know if it was a mold imperfection but they had a tiny little scar on the bicep. But I lit a match and then let it burn for a bit and then blew, and then with the hot match head, I melted a big scar across his arm. Well, at some point during my 30-year collecting journey, I had dressed my Action Man, my childhood favorite, in a uniform, and then over the years forgot what uniform I put him in and where he was. And for a long time, I thought I had somehow accidentally lost or traded or sold my vintage, and I was devastated. And then it was during a house move one day, or it might have even been for making a video, I think, a few years ago. I took a vehicle out of a box. I was making a video. Actually, I did a live stream about Action Man vehicles. I had to set up this huge table. It was a Gary's Action Man channel's idea to do this live stream. He kind of challenged me to
I
go
remember that thing. It was
and I remember it was like the armored Jeep or something like that. I pulled it out of because I didn't have room to display it, so it was just stored away in the box. I pulled it out of the box and there was a dressed figure like sitting in the driver's seat. And I took it out, and I took it out of this uniform, and I went, "Holy crap, that's my
And it was-
Action Man! It's got the scar."
Ah,
So I've
cool.
now redressed him, and he actually sits on my desk next to where I edit my videos because I don't ever want to misplace
Lose
him
him again.
again. He's
Yeah,
he's kept separate from the collection. Like all of it, he was so well played with. All of his limbs are so loose that he can barely stand up now. But you know, that's my childhood guy. He's my
That's
favorite.
cool.
He's
He's in a place of honor.
absolutely, yeah. All right, are you ready for another commercial?
Heck yeah.
So now this one is very British. I threw this one in for Keith Knight. I remember this commercial as well. My brother had one of the toys. There's 3 toys in this commercial. My brother had one of them. I wanted one of the others, and then the third one, none of us gave a crap about. See if you can figure out which was which. All right, here we go.
Here come the talking cars. The Z Victor 4, the talking police car with exciting police calls.
To Z Victor 4?
And the fabulous talking Batmobile with the dynamic bat messages.
Step on it, Batman!
Watch out! There's even a talking Dalek.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
Talking cars and talking Dalek from Palitoy.
You will obey!
Oh, exterminate!
I could see your face in the green room when the Dalek came on. You were like, have you seen that commercial before?
No, that's the first time. That was badass.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't want to compile this kind of list of 10. Actually, I think I might have 11 commercials, but when I compiled this list, I didn't want them all to be from that collection of lost commercials we found earlier this year. Keith Knight here says, said, "Oh my God, the Palitoy / Bradgate." Bradgate was like a subsidiary of Palitoy that sold a lot of imported product. So when they brought Mego figures over, they were sold by all the commercials said Palitoy, but it was Palitoy Bradgate.
Gotcha.
The Z Victor 4, Keith has 3 of them in his collection. That's what my brother had. He had the talking police car. Man, I would give anything to have one of those today. But the toy that I really wanted in childhood was the Dalek, because it was kind of big enough to scale with Action Man. So I wanted to turn one of my Action Man figures into a Tom Baker. You know, and I've just got another video idea now. Like Indiana Jones and the Missed Opportunity. What if I did a Tom Baker Doctor Who and I tracked down that talking Dalek?
Yeah.
But that talking Dalek, Gary's Action Man channel says he had that talking Dalek. That's one I wanted for a long time.
You will obey. I love that.
God knows what they go for now. Any of that like Denny's Fisher or Palitoy Doctor Who stuff from that era is worth an absolute fortune today.
I can imagine. I mean, just the newer BBC stuff is not necessarily cheap, depending on what you're looking for.
No, it's not. Let me tell you.
When I went to Leicester Vintage, and they've got the whole cabinet of Doctor Who-ness, and I'm like, holy shit! I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm in the motherland, but there's some spicy prices.
The even the modern character options stuff. If you want to go back and get, because they've been going. Well, Doctor Who returned to TV screens when I'm pretty sure I was still living there. Like it's been, after a long hiatus, it came back in the late aughts, I think. I want to say like 2009, 10. Someone in the audience will correct me if I'm wrong.
The channel.
Yeah. And character options, started doing the figures of the David Tennant. Well, no, even the Christopher Eccleston, sorry, was the first one. Of the renewed kind of series, and even some of that early stuff and some of the different. Is it TARDISes or TARDI? I don't know.
That's a really good question. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they only ever call it the TARDIS in the show because there's only one of them. But when you're talking about multiples, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Like when the Master shows up, there was never where they had to use it as plural.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. All right. What have I got next on the list? All right. This is probably the worst quality commercial I've got here. When I say worst quality, like not that it's a badly made commercial, like the video quality I was able to find. But it's really interesting to see how Mego superheroes were advertised in the UK.
This is Gotham City News. The Joker strikes again. But Batman and the superheroes are after him. Boom! Superheroes are the fantastic action figures you can pose in any position. There's Batman, Robin, Spider-Man, Lizard, Captain America, Human Torch, Superman, the Thing, the Penguin, and, oh no, the Joker. Superheroes from Palitoy.
It's when the Joker did that bit, you're in the green room doing the same thing. So you see there that says, you know, Mega superheroes by Palitoy, but that was again Palitoy Bradgate. There was a separate catalog for Palitoy Bradgate stuff, kept separate from Palitoy itself. I had the 8-inch Spider-Man in childhood. He lost his costume very early on. I remember it got all what do they call it when a lady's stockings get
runs.
Yeah. His costume got all these runs in it, and it got lost. And it always weirded me out that he had, like, when he had his costume gone, he had a flesh-colored body but red hands. I always found that weird. He didn't have gloves. Tim Ward says that commercial was frightening.
It was like a that's an interesting twist to a Mego commercial, though. It was more like he's doing a variety show, and the characters are these wacky guests, where in the US it would have been kids, pretending to be, Spider-Man or Batman.
Yeah, well, Palitoy did things like that. Like, there's one of the Action Force commercials for 1983 starts off like a newsreel. You see the globe going around. It says Action Force News, and then there's a newsreader talking about Baron Ironblood and his evil forces moving around. Yeah, they really changed things up. But I had quite a few Megos in childhood, but they were all different scales. So I had the 8-inch Spider-Man. I had the 12-inch Incredible Hulk, which was one of my favorite toys from childhood. And I had Kirk and Spock. I say 12-inch, they were probably 13-inch because they were taller than the Hulk. But I had Kirk and Spock from the motion picture.
Nice.
I really wanted those figures, even though I hadn't seen the movie at that time. And when I got them, they were similar scale to Action Man, so they broke really quickly. Those 12-inch figures, the
bad joints.
The plastic's kind of quite brittle, and I remember, like Kirk's elbow cracked pretty early on. So, do you have any Megos in childhood, Pete?
I don't think I had any of the large. I want to say the closest I ever got was like a pocket superhero, with the horrible the horrible grip,
Yeah.
Not a Mego.
Venkman here's saying he just looked up Palitoy Daleks on eBay, and they range from $290 to $438-ish. I wonder if they still work, mint condition,
right? Because that would be.
He says here, that's for a silver Dalek. You can find red Daleks for dirt cheap, but honestly, who really wants a red Dalek? Yeah, good point. Yeah, because they did those in red as well. And I want to say I had the Christopher Reeve Superman as well in childhood, the 12-inch Superman.
Nice.
Yeah, Yeah, it's not something you collect, is it?
I have the Hulk, and that's pretty much it. No, I take that back. I lie. I also have Spider-Man that I got in like a job lot. You know, it was at the bottom of a box, and I'm like, sweet.
When you
So
say
it's
you got Hulk, like the 8-inch or the 12-inch?
It's the he's the 8-inch.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. In that line, they made Hulk one of the shortest characters out of.
And he should have been, you know.
Yeah, so I always think kids would have been better off getting the 12-inch and having him play with the 8-inch figures. It just
Yeah,
so
it would have made way more sense.
Yeah. Fizco Man, I don't know how to pronounce that. Did Palitoy make Doctor Who toys? Denny's Fisher made Doctor Who toys, and the Denny's Fisher figures were very similar to like the 10-inch Megos. They did a range of 10-inch like Flash Gordon figures in the late 70s. So all the bodies were kind of modeled off of those. Apart from Doctor Who himself, there was a warehouse find back in the 90s, I think, of the Tom Baker Doctor Who Denny's Fisher doll, but in Italy. So if you can get Albert box one, don't ever pay too much for it, because there was a warehouse find of these in the 90s of like thousands of them.
Interesting.
That particular figure, trying to get Leela, the robot, the Cyberman, you know, the costume just falls to pieces with, you know, if you look at it the wrong way. So they are worth a hell of a lot of money, those things. But yeah, there is, so not by Palitoy, but there was a British toy company who made some really cool Doctor Who toys back in the 70s. So well, I'm going to switch things up now with this next toy commercial, Pete. I'm curious if this toy was sold in the US, because every little kid in Britain had one of these.
What's this? A tree? No, it's a tree house from Discovery Time. And here are the tree tots with Barky outside. There's a lift, a swing, whee, and even a car. What's that? The Tree Tots have some noisy neighbours. It's the Tree Tots lighthouse with a foghorn, a revolving searchlight. Shiver me timbers, there's even a crow's nest. Discover a whole little world in Tree Tots lighthouse and treehouse from Discovery Time.
Hell yeah, we had that. Dude, I played with that so much at preschool, it was ridiculous. That was like my favorite go-to thing, was the treehouse. Oh.
I don't remember the lighthouse. Never.
I don't remember that.
Jason Anderson says a lighthouse tree that moves. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was me or my sister who had the tree house, but I definitely remember playing with it. And it's one of those, I don't really collect, you know, preschool era stuff. The only real stuff I have in my collection that I played with when I was at that kind of preschool age is some of my Fisher-Price Adventure People stuff.
Yep.
But that is one toy that I would love to reacquire. And the last time I looked, which wasn't all that long ago,
they're not bad.
They're not very expensive to get. Like you can get a complete box one, $60.
Oh yeah, with loose they're 30 to $40 depending on what they come with. But so I actually not only was that a favorite, you know, at the lollipop stop, I can actually, my mind doesn't work well, but I can remember where I went to preschool. So I got to thinking, I'm looking at the Ewok Village box, right? You know, that looks like a forest fire came through, and we know what they did with the Robin Hood version with the lovely tree canopy. I have that. I love it. Well, in my mind, I'm like, I ended up acquiring one of the domes of that to try and figure out how I could maybe cut out or make some canopies to go on the Ewok Village. I don't know. It's still, you know, it's on my workbench when I get to it. But
yeah.
But I have that dome.
He says, I had that tree. Was it released in America? Question mark. I just had flashbacks.
Oh yeah,
It seems
Big
like
time.
it was.
Yep.
So I don't know who actually created it. You know, I'd always kind of believed it was a Palitoy invention, but Palitoy did import a lot of stuff.
I want to say when we got to have lunch with Bob on our visit, and I brought him a Kenner catalog.
Yeah.
From '77, and so it had a lot of that in there, and I think Palitoy brought that over from Kenner, because he's like, obviously we were sharing because we were all under CPG, but I think they brought that over to England. I think that was a
yeah. Tim Ward says it was in the US. It was Kenner. I reckon that was a Kenner toy that Palitoy brought over. Maybe we'll find out when we get our Bob Breakin.
That's right.
Palitoy story book. Who knows?
Hell yeah! I can't wait.
You wouldn't have yours yet, would you?
No, not yet. It'll be first.
Yeah, I think the last email I got, it was like, all of, I think UK and Europe have had theirs shipped, and they were doing US shipping in the new year. And I didn't reach out to them because I know I'll get the book eventually. I'm a patient man.
Yep.
But I'm like, what about Australian people? I'm assuming when he talks about doing the US shipping, he actually just means international shipping.
Yeah, everybody else.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that and reading that book and seeing how many video ideas come out of it as well.
Yeah. It's just gonna be oozing knowledge.
Say again?
I said it's just gonna be oozing knowledge. Like, feed me.
I'll catch up on some super chats here. So Just Jeff says, for Tim Tams and maybe a beer. Cheers for not parachuting into water. Yes, cheers, Just Jeff. And Keith Knight, thank you. He says, just for your information, the livery on the Palitoy Bradgate Z Victor 4 is the same as the vintage Action Man police motorcycle, the Leicestershire Constabulary Police. A nice touch by Palitoy. Yeah, the Action Man police motorcycle and that talking car, they made sure they got all the colors right, because certainly with the Action Man police motorcycle, when Brian Turner was designing that, the designers would often, I talk about in my documentary when Bob was doing, all the lifeguards and grenadier guards and everything, they actually traveled to the household cavalry barracks in London and photographed everything. So when it came to do the police one, they're like, well, you don't have to travel all the way to London. Just go see the local mob here.
Yeah, around the corner.
Yeah. So with Palitoy being based in Leicestershire, that's why all the police stuff ended up looking like that. So, Keith, we might have to chat later about potentially having you keep your eyes out for a Z Victor 4 car for me. I wouldn't mind adding one of those to the collection one day.
There you go.
All right. Okay. This will be right up your alley because we already mentioned the Palitoy Death Star today. You've got one in the background there. When I talked about earlier this year doing this campaign for all of these lost Palitoy toy commercials, when I say lost, like, it's not that they hadn't been seen before, but, it was the original film. Some of them had never been seen since back in the day. Like, you cannot find other copies of them around. But certainly we've never ever seen copies of such great quality. So I had to include the one and only Star Wars commercial. Well, there was two versions of it. There was a 30-second and a 15-second, but it was the same commercial. There was only one Star Wars commercial in this set of like 3 film reels, and I think Pete knows which one it is, so let's play it.
Roll.
The year is 1978, and Palitoy bring you Star Wars. Here on Death Star, Ben Kenobi combats the awesome power of Darth Vader, while Han and Leia battle for their lives in the trash compactor. Luke evades the stormtroopers with R2, D2, and C-3PO. But can he escape in the X-Wing fighter? Only you will know. Only you you can create your own Star Wars. Death Star, vehicles, figures, all sold separately. May the Force be with you.
Oh, who is that narrator? I mean, because his voice, it makes it just this imperative, like, you've got to get it, you know.
I don't know who the voice actor is, but he did a lot of Palitoy toy commercials. I think he worked for Thames Media because the voice is familiar from other kind of documentary type stuff. Thames Media. I used an intro clip in one of my videos. I don't remember what video it was, where it's got London Bridge and you got that dun, 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 music with the Thames logo coming down. Yeah. I watched that commercial, right, and in such good quality. I remember when I first saw it, when the guy who had all these commercials sent it through to me to see, and I was just sitting there going, "Look at how minty those figures are in that particular commercial."
Right?
You can find mint in package vintage Star Wars figures, and they're not that minty. Like Princess Leia's hair has got such a gloss to the paint. Like I think maybe some of them were some kind of prototype or something. But it's interesting that the first really big toy commercial that Palitoy did for Star Wars in the UK featured the legendary playset that was not available in the US. It was available in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the UK. Possibly a few other places, but you guys got the Kenner Death Star. So what for you? What's the better one?
I mean, obviously, I've got nostalgia for the Kenner triple story. I've got 2 of them now back there.
Yep.
But I am madly in love with Bob Breakin's creation and the fact that he was like, kids are only going to have one Stormtrooper. I'm going to make sure there's more Stormtroopers in the graphics for this. And I'm like, yeah, he got us as kids, right? He was in our heads. And I love the shape. I love the garbage compactor. And I never noticed in that commercial until watching it this go round, like when they're doing the compactor smash, the camera's actually jiggling like they're in real danger. I love it. I come in here and stare at it all the time, and I have the Palitoy X-wing that Cy and I found also at Celebration hanging above it. So,
nice,
very commercial-esque.
Nice. And which version? The original, or do you get the one with the battle damage stickers? Or
no, the original with just the printed engine, no battle damage.
Yep. Yeah, well, they didn't change the toy, but the one I had in childhood was the battle damaged X-wing, the Empire Strikes Back one. But in the UK, it was still the white one with the sticker on the back, no lights and sounds, the chromed R2-D2, and then the battle damage stickers. So that's the one that I've now got in my collection. I think, or maybe I've got 2 Palitoy. I don't know. I've definitely got 1 Palitoy X-wing. And you'll probably remember from one of my favorite retro blasting live streams to go and rewatch or watch the end of is the one where I sent Michael a minty, like a mint Palitoy X-wing. Yep. I love going back and rewatching that.
Yeah, because
I think it was an episode about. I think the episode was about Superman because Michael was wearing his Superman T-shirt with his red shirt over the top. So, yeah.
That was a fun find. That was the day before I had found the Death Star, and then I think it was Sunday. Cy and I found that just kind of a cheeky find, like it was off to the side for 40 quid, and I'm like,
"Yep."
And he's like, "You getting that?" And I'm like, "Try and stop me,"
Yeah. Michael Schaefer here says the Palitoy Death Star figure stands. The most reproduced Star Wars item that no one's get bent out of shape over. Why is that repro acceptable? Bingo. Those figure stands.
Yep.
Yeah, so the star stands, I think they're called.
Mm-hmm.
Every Star Wars collector today has bought bunches and bunches of those to stand their figures up. They came with the Palitoy Death Star, and they also came with the Action Force cardboard headquarters. I think you got 4 stands in each one.
Oh, I didn't know
They're actually
with the Action Force. Huh.
Yeah, with the cardboard headquarters, not the Z Force headquarters. They came with that as well, but they are not actually identical because the peg holes in the feet of Action Force figures, the vintage Palitoy ones, are a little bit smaller than Star Wars figures, so they had to make the pegs a little bit smaller. So I think the Action Force headquarters came with 4 of the stands, and I've got 3 of the 4. I bought the headquarters. I bought a childhood collection from an English guy, I think, who had moved to Spain, and it came. It was an almost complete headquarters. George Aitken, obviously, was the guy who helped me finish it off and complete it. But I had the headquarters and a bunch of figures and a few other bits and pieces. So, that came from a childhood collection, so I know they're original. But
mine.
All of these anti-repro guys out there who bang on about no repro, they've all got those reproduced stands in their collection.
It's like, what are you standing your figures up with?
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. What you were about to say?
No, it's all right. The Palitoy Death Star didn't come with the clips to mate the walls to the base. So George, he found me a set, an original, one set. So I'm on my way.
An original of that, not the Action Force one,
right? Yeah, because I've got a couple spare Action Force headquarter ones. It's just a different color plastic. So,
surely there's someone out there who 3D prints them, or are you chasing the original?
Honestly, it doesn't matter.
So you're telling me that's displayed right now without clips in it, or like one clip?
Correct.
It still displays well. You just can't.
It displays. It's fine. I mean, it's that well built. It's that thick cardstock.
Yeah. But I mean, if you picked it up now and threw it across the room, it would all.
Yeah,
you should do that. Just separation. Just pick it up and just throw it across the room.
Yeah. And Leslie's gonna come and throw me across the room. She knows how much it costs.
Just Jeff's got a question for you, Pete. He says, is that the Sky Striker hanging or a kick-ass F-14 toy?
That is the HasLab Sky Striker hanging. Well, here we're mobile, so I can take you over there.
Yep. We'll put you on full screen.
And actually, here, let's go this view. There we go. So I stickered it up Cobra.
Oh, nice.
And then I got to find my I've got a spare Wild Weasel. I'm going to put him punching out. And then I've got the Tiger Rattler behind it. And then I've got really fancy. It's not quite staying there, but the Rattler has launched a missile at it. But
that's cool.
The missile effects from the HasLab plug into the back of it. So there you go.
Yeah, so you've got them punching out, ejecting. You're trying to create that. Talk to me, Goose.
Exactly. I thought about putting Cobra Commander in the real seat where he's just like, what is going on?
Yeah. The Dragon Reborn says, we want a tour of the room, an updated one.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little tardy on doing update 4.
So you're now in what was formerly your daughter's bedroom, is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Brian Stevenson says Scuba's man cave is awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I've added quite a few glass cases since the last update. So,
have you still got a bunch of stuff out by the Tiki Bar though?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that whole with the USS Flag and Star Wars G.I. Joe, the Defiance out there. Yep.
And is that over your left shoulder, the Fisher Price parachutist?
Yep, that's my childhood one.
So I've got that's your childhood one. That's awesome. I've got a mint parachute and harness, just not the figure. And I keep looking around on eBay because like they're not expensive.
No.
But try finding that figure that isn't all beaten to hell and all the paint gone.
and floppy.
Yeah, they don't turn up. But I need to acquire one of those. I need to write some of this stuff down. I need to go on eBay. So a Z Victor 4, a Dalek.
A Dalek and the Fisher Price.
The Fisher Price parachutist.
I mean, that one ended up in the gutter or on the roof so many freaking times. My dad finally threatened because he was tired of getting the ladder out to go up on the roof to get it out of the... He's like, would you go to the field and do that? I'm like, yes, sir.
TJC says, Scuba Pete, is the Leicester visit video nearly finished?
Oh my gosh, Terry. Yeah, you bring up a... I need to do the voiceover for it, but Leslie has all the pieces together, so yeah. I need like a vacation where I just stay home and get some stuff done like that.
Making videos is not easy, is it, Pete?
No, you get home and you're just after a long work day and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah. Will you be visiting Leicester Vintage Toys when you go back next year?
Kicking it around. Yep.
Have you ever considered going to Portsmouth?
No, but
I highly recommend a trip to Portsmouth because it's down on the south coast. It's a very historic British town. They're all fucking historic, aren't they? But it's a really nice place to visit. There is a huge mall like down at the port where they've got like a factory direct outlet where everything's really cheap with factory seconds and stuff. Great shopping for Leslie. But I know you're a fan of Toy Shop on Tour.
Yep.
Vintage Toy Monster, that toy shop that he's been to more than a couple of times, that's in Portsmouth.
Oh. Okay.
And that guy's shop is like 2-3 times the size of Leicester Vintage Toys.
Yeah, because Leicester Vintage
definitely recommend a visit.
Is very small. All right, now I'm the one making a note.
Yep. Just look, it would be if you're kind of staying around, like the Birmingham area, it is a bit of a drive.
Right.
I would suggest like driving there one day, spending the night, having a whole day in Portsmouth, staying another night, and then driving back. So it would take up a bit of time from your holiday. But if you're there because you want to collect vintage toys,
yep,
I recommend. I've never been to the Vintage Toy Monster myself, but I know Portsmouth really well.
Okay.
I don't know how long they've been around because, I was last in the UK like 6 and a bit years ago, and we went to Portsmouth. So I took Grace to this, this factory direct, this huge place. My uncle told me about it. Yeah, Portsmouth is a really, really nice town. And my nan on my dad's side, she's like the only family member who doesn't support the Arsenal football team. She supports Portsmouth. So there you go, Nan.
I can just see Gracie, getting to the mall and being like, pushing you out of the way. Slow-mo.
Ray Murphy says, Tony, did you ever make it to the Modeller's Loft when it was open? Caterham on Hill, Surrey. They had all the Action Man 40th stuff back in the day. It was an amazing place. I've been to when Modeller's Loft was in Caterham. I reckon I went there 4 or 5 times. I purchased... I've bought all sorts of different bits and pieces from Alan Hall over the years. But I remember on one visit, I went there and I purchased a mint vintage 1966, I think it was 66, vintage G.I. Joe from the Soldiers of the World collection, the British Infantry Commando. The uniform is very, very different to the one that Palitoy put out. The gas mask, it's all made of fabric, is completely redesigned from the Palitoy version. I should do a video one day highlighting all the differences because I've got the full set of I've got the full set of the American G.I. Joe Soldiers of the World and then the full set of the British ones. And they're all very, very different types of fabric used and stuff. But I remember that figure was like £200-300 at the time. But when Modeller's Loft closed down, they opened up a smaller place in, I can't remember the name of the town. It was closer to me on the coast, and I went there once as well, but it was never quite the same as the huge place they had at Caterham. So, but yes, I've been there. And Ray, Merry Christmas to you, man. I'm still loving my Jungle Rat it's in the display case with all my prototype Desert Rat stuff as well. I absolutely love that figure. So thank you very much. All right. Well, hello. The Padawan Collector. Hi, Tony. Hi, Scuba. Good to see you here. I watch his videos.
Joey's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. He is very much so. And we've also got Dave here.
What's up, Dave?
Toy Rush. So I should say hello to people in the chat more. It's hard to keep up with over 100 people, but Nerdbase and Vintage Toy Monster are on the list to visit. Scuba, is Nerdbase near Vintage Toy Monster? You and the fireworks.
I forgot it does that.
But look, in the interest of time, we better get back to the commercials. Because Pete does have another live stream he's attending in an hour's time. I will be watching in intently on that one. Where are we? Okay, this one here. This was one of the lost Palitoy commercials that were not found this year. They were found like 11, 12 years ago, but was secured this year. Finally made available to the public, where I set up a second non-monetized channel called the Palitoy TV Advert Vault. You can find it over there.
Yep.
This one caused the most amount of stir in any of the toy communities. This is a Mego one that, you know, the guys from the Mego Museum and Plaid Stallions and my friend Brian Brickmantooth got super, super excited about this. I think he even wrote an article for the Mego or the Plaid Stallions website. It's a great commercial. It's great quality. Let's play it.
Now, from Planet of the Apes, exciting, lifelike figures. Move them, position them. Help Galon and the astronauts escape. And from Star Trek, voyage into the unknown with Mr. Spock and the crew from the Enterprise. Will they defeat the dreaded Klingon? It's up to you. Planet of the Apes and Star Trek, exciting, lifelike figures, new from Palitoy.
Oh, so good.
So you see there at the end, it says new from Palitoy, but then the logo is Palitoy Bradgate. That's a great toy commercial, and I threw that one in for Michael Schaefer because he's the Trekkie among us, and he's here in the chat. I got so excited when I saw that, and that did. I didn't premiere it, but I actually worked with Brian from the Mego Museum. I don't know if he reached out to me or we're friends, so we do talk, from time to time. But it was kind of when I was running the fundraising campaign, it was like, hey, I've got this. Oh, and there was another Mego toy commercial in there as well. The Mike Zoom power arm thing had a Mego connection. But yeah, all of the Mego collectors got really, really excited about this commercial coming out, and then seeing the quality of it.
It's just.
I just want to take a moment to say to anyone who earlier this year, because I kind of launched that GoFundMe just prior to going to the States for Joe Fest with the intention of ending it the week after I got back. And of course, we got funded well before, thanks to two very large donations from Valaverse. But to anyone who supported that campaign, thank you ever so much, because it was such a treasure trove of our toy history that we're all passionate about. And it was finally able to, get out there to the community where everyone could enjoy them. The guy who had originally found them did spend a lot of his own money, not only originally securing the film reels, but the extensive restoration that was involved. The guy who found them actually works in the movie industry. He does 3D scanning. He's done like all of the Marvel movies, and all of his 3D scans are what go to Hasbro and McFarlane and things like that. I remember when I was talking I'd known the guy on and off for like 10, 12 years, but we were speaking a lot during that campaign, and I was getting to know him a bit more. And the most recent thing he'd worked on was the Flash movie. And he said it was his 3D scan of the Batmobile that got sent to McFarlane to make the Batmobile that they brought out this year. So this guy, he knows the film industry, and he found this place in Soho in London and paid a fortune out of his own pocket to have everything recolorized, cleaned up, properly restored. So he wasn't just going to give that up and kind of be out of pocket. And we ended up with this great scenario where the original film prints went to Bob to give to the Colville Heritage Society.
Yeah.
This guy got his money back. The community got the commercials.
It's a win for everybody.
Yeah. Michael Schaefer says, it's great to know they're safe and that everyone can see them now.
Yeah.
Yes. And everyone's allowed to use them in their videos. All they have to do is post a link to the channel and, give credit to the channel, as in not my channel, the Palitoy TV Advert Vault channel. So like if Joey's still here, I know he's been doing some videos lately on Palitoy stuff, and he uses some commercials. By all means, Joey, feel free to go ahead and use the high quality commercial we've got of the Palitoy Death Star, which also shows the Palitoy X-Wing in the commercial and everything as well. So yeah. Okay, what have we got next on the list? We've got 4 commercials left to go. I had to pick a Palitoy Action Force commercial, and it was really hard to pick a favorite.
I bet.
The very first one they did in 1982, you've got the little kid going into the toy shop, and the shop owner. I didn't pick that one because I found that kid really annoying. I did think about using the one that's presented a bit like, like a short newsreel kind of thing with a news presenter. And but this one is just so grand. I had to go with this one here. So enjoy this Palitoy Action Force commercial.
Gentlemen, the world is in terrible peril from this man, Baron Ironblood, an evil genius who is determined to rule the world. These are the creatures he has created to help him. Now you must create your own action force dedicated to the Baron's downfall. Captain Campbell, you will take command of Z-Force, land-based attack troops. Captain Buckingham, the SAS, Crack Commando Squad. Captain McLaren, Q-Force, Subaquatics, and Captain Connors, Space Force. Expect the unexpected. Where will the Baron strike next? Action Force Toys, the battle has just begun.
Yeah. Oh, we're live.
How are you going with your Action Force collection?
Thanks to George, I just completed this baby. He sent me the missile rack and the missiles for the back.
The swordfish, yep.
Yes, for the swordfish. Of course.
Yeah, I thought you'd be all over all the Q-Force stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I got a from Gary Atkins, sonar officer, and I've got a couple other Q-Force figures coming from him as well. And then we were seeing Michael and Melinda the other weekend, and at breakfast,
Did his battery just die? While we're waiting for Pete to sort himself out, I want to take a moment to say hello to Mrs. Scuba Pete. Leslie, Merry Christmas. I hope you're doing well. It was very hard for me to choose an Action Force commercial. I did just want to go full blown into the one that completely showcases the Robo Skull. You're back?
I'm back. My phone it's on mute, but it was ringing, and all of a sudden now the screen went black, and I'm like, what the hell?
Oh, you got a phone call?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's happened to me before. Fortunately, not on a live chat. Yeah, when your phone rings, it cuts you out of StreamYard.
Yeah,
so.
I was like, what the hell?
So, are you really into the Q4 stuff?
Oh yeah, Yep.
Well, you are Scuba Pete, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it. It's coming along nicely. I have a very nice, complete sea lion again. Thanks to some help from George.
Yep.
Santa
the amazing George Aitken.
Yes. Yeah,
very
he
cool.
spoils me.
I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh yeah, when you jumped off, I was very tempted to use the commercial, which is like centered on the Robo Skull and the Triad Fighter. But I like that one, just the way it introduces, all of the different teams and Captain Connors of Space Force and Captain Campbell, and it's giving you the names of the commanders.
Yeah, the actual names. That's cool. It does get you geeked up, though. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, when you stepped off as well, I took a moment to say hello to Leslie, wish her a Merry Christmas, and she's love to be in Gracie as well. Gracie's at work today, but it's her last day, and she's got 5 days off, so we've got New Year's together and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. All right. Tim Ward says, we always hear about George Aitken helping other collectors. What is George looking for in his collection?
See,
it's a very good question. I know you sent him some stuff over the years, Pete. I've
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I made sure that George got a signed Desert Rat, like the original. I'm pretty sure you sent him the retro one, and the Desert Trooper, I think, to go with it. So
George likes to, if you know George, he likes to army build both Action Force and Star Wars. So that's where I've helped him with like some Black Major, weird custom stuff for Action Force, because he'll occasionally do some, some really neat baddies. Also some Star Wars troopers, some of those 4-packs. He's had trouble finding that over here it's no big deal. So I try to help him out as much as I can.
Didn't you recently acquire a very, very rare carded Action Force figure?
Yep.
Is it in arm's reach?
It's close enough. I mean, it's just right there. It's just right there. It's just right around the horn.
I'm going to make Pete big for a moment.
One Desert Rat.
Look at that. And it came from a very unusual location.
Yes, it came from Brazil, of all places. That's where this was found.
I've mentioned a number of times, and I get this information from Gary Atkinson, who I put you in touch with years ago. Well, I was like, there's only, half a dozen carded examples in existence. That might make it 7 or 8 now. Because I certainly think, like, when I found the Australian Jungle Fighter at Joe Fest, people didn't know that one's to. So if they think there's only 6 of them, well, there's now 7 of them, because that was never on anyone's radar.
Right.
All those ones that me and Bobby bought at Joe Fest, we bought the whole table. I only went home with like 5 or 6 maybe, but Bobby went home with 20, 25 figures. He said to me that was a collection that he was selling on behalf of a lady who had them all. How they ended up in the States, I'll never know. But
yeah, it's so weird. I mean, because it was an entire table full of carded Action Force. It wasn't like a couple of those and then a whole bunch of Joe.
yeah. Got a super chat here from Jim Largo. Thank you very
Hey,
much.
Jim.
He said, "Happy holidays to two of my favorite toy guys. Action Force is going to dominate 2024. I have placed my Series 4 order. I wanted to get more, but having the pre-order go up just a couple of days before Christmas, damn you, Bobby." It was kind of like, for me, it was like one of every item, and then I think I bought multiples of the Arctic Trooper and two Desert Condors, but I wanted more than one of the blowback snipers and stuff like that. But hey, what can you do? Thank you for the super chat, Jim. And is Jim, did you say, joining you on Chad later?
Yeah, he's on with Chad. Yep.
I think Chad just sent me the link. I might jump on for a little bit. We'll see what happens. Okay, moving on. Right, this commercial. This is a Palitoy Star Wars commercial. Quality is not as good as the previous one, but there's a couple of interesting things going on in this commercial, which is why I have selected this particular one. Listen to the way some certain names are pronounced, and see if you can spot anything unusual about the figure that they feature at the end. I'll just put it that way.
Get my spectacles out.
Okay, here we go.
Palitoy present Star Wars toys. The princess has been captured. Our heroes are on their way. But who is this mysterious figure? Boba Fett! Will he save Princess Leia or side with Darth Vader? See comics and toy shops for details of Boba Fett's special offer now. He's waiting.
Princess Leia?
Boba Fett. Not Boba Fett. Darth Vader.
Yeah,
I have a feeling.
Did you say Vada?
Joey says, this Boba Fett. I'm doing it. Commercial is my favorite. So you'll notice if you're a fan of Toy Shop on Tour and you watch that, you'll notice that Gav always calls him Boba Fett.
Yep.
You'll find there are a few collectors in the UK who pronounce it that way because of those Palitoy commercials. Because
just locked it in.
I was playing with Star Wars toys long before I ever saw a Star Wars film. Well, no, I long before I saw Empire Strikes Back. I'd seen the first Star Wars, but obviously, when you take away the special editions, Boba Fett is not in that. So,
right.
Is he mentioned? No, he's not mentioned either. So yeah, they pronounce it like that, but Darth Vader. But
he's a muchalada.
I took a screen grab of this commercial and I'm gonna put it up here. And you tell me what you notice about this particular figure. That's not a retail release figure. That's a prototype.
Yeah, his head's sitting like way up high.
Yeah, it's got an unusual shape. The chest armor looks different. I could be way off here, but I'm like, that is not. And it's weird. In that commercial, you can see the retail release figure and also this kind of weird prototype. Yeah, cool. I'm just wondering if anyone in the chat agrees or disagrees. I'd be interested to know. I only noticed this yesterday when I was kind of pulling these commercials. I wanted to pick that one because of the way they pronounce Darth Vader and all of that. But yeah, that looks to me like a prototype figure. So
that's cool.
Yeah, Josh says no rangefinder molded to his helmet. Well, there kind of is, but it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot stumpier.
It's a lot stumpier, yeah. It's definitely a prototype, I think. Yeah, Brian Stevenson says the head antenna was different. Yeah.
That's a good catch.
Yeah. I might which is interesting because a video that I'm currently working on is Star Wars related, and Boba Fett's going to be included in that video, so I might have to discuss this commercial a little bit in this upcoming video. So, all right, in the interest of time, we've got 2 more commercials left.
Cool.
This is my all-time favorite Action Man toy commercial from Palitoy. My absolute favorite. Nothing else comes close. I've used this commercial in a bunch of videos, but I was very pleased to know that it was also within the collection of the Lost Palitoy commercials. So I've now got this really good quality version. But this is hands down. This is my favorite Palitoy commercial of all time of any toy line. So here we go.
As storm clouds gather over Mrs. Rogers' garden, the Action Man gang assemble for the big parade. It's an impressive display of military muscle. And speaking of muscle, just look at Action Man's new fully posable physique. It's chest out and eyes right as the top brass take the salute. They know that whatever the task, Action Man with his dynamic new physique is ready for action.
That's awesome. I like that he's riding in the Scorpion tank. Like, look at me.
Yeah, they're showcasing the new dynamic physique, but I remember that commercial more than any other from childhood. I absolutely loved that commercial in childhood, and the whole concept of like a parade in Mrs. Rogers' garden, you've got all the kid actors there, and it's showcasing some of the fashion from the time. At the end, when the 5 kids looking over the fence all do the salute, and there's the one kid who puts the wrong hand up and goes, yeah. It's just so quintessentially British. I absolutely adore it.
I just want Mrs. Rogers to be like, right, you kids get out of the garden.
Yeah, Michael Schaefer is Tony's favorite commercial, Topless Action Man. Topless Action Man in Mrs. Rogers' garden. An absolute classic, and I'm so pleased that it was within that collection of lost commercials that we secured earlier this year. So,
do you think George plays parade music like that when he sets up his on parade like that?
I reckon he does.
I
reckon he does. Yeah,
and he's over there.
Now, this last one that I've got here, this technically is not a Palitoy commercial, so I kind of cheated here, but I had 10 Palitoy commercials that I kind of... they're not necessarily all the best, because I could go away tomorrow and come up with a completely different list, but I wanted to showcase different toy lines and stuff. But what I wanted to include here was an Action Force commercial from 1987, because Palitoy had gone by then, and we were then basically getting repackaged Hasbro G.I. Joe stuff as Action Force. All the card backs were changed to look like the American style, with the explosion behind the figures, just with the logo changed. And I've said many times in many videos that as a kid, I thought it was a completely different toy line because of the improved articulation, the redesigned packaging. We then got the Action Force Weekly comic, and we had this different storyline. And but I wanted to showcase this because this is from my absolute favorite period of what you guys would call G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero. And there's something that one of the child actors says in this commercial that, again, is so bloody British that I just had to include it. I love this. So here's the final commercial that we're playing today. Here we go.
Action Force is a highly trained rapid deployment force fighting Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization.
Action Force.
Cobra Bang!
But they've been spotted by Flint, Dusty, and Barbecue.
Man the air defense system! Fire! That'll teach Cobra some manners. Boom, boom!
Cobra Pang, Action Force checkpoint and air defense system, figures sold separately.
That'll teach Cobra some manners.
some manners.
Yeah, they had to redo the commercials for the UK because like when the G.I. Joe Real American cartoon, a Real American Hero cartoon was never aired on British television, but you could get VHS copies. You could like buy them in Woolworths or rent them out from the video store. Where I remember when Action Force the movie came out, they redub over every time they mention Sergeant Slaughter's name, it's redubbed to Slammer.
Right.
And Yo Joe is replaced with Full Force and all of that stuff. But it's interesting that they didn't just overdub American commercials. They actually made brand new commercials for the UK, because they had to change from dollar signs to pound signs, but they went all out and excuse me,
completely.
and redid the whole commercial. So yeah. Well, Pete, thank you very much for joining me. This was a fun little it was.
Sorry, it was a little rocky start, but this was fun.
It's I've been a little bit absent from YouTube for like 4 or 5 weeks, so this was just an opportunity for me to get out, chat with the audience. It was never going to be anything too, just fun to have. And thank you so much for accepting the very late invite. Like I messaged Pete, must have been like almost midnight your time last night.
Just before midnight.
And I was like, "Hey Pete, I know you're doing a stream with Chad, but I don't want to stream alone, and you are my first choice." So thank you for joining me. Please, everyone, in about 30 minutes' time, head over to the It's Chad channel. Pete will be there. I think I'm going to jump on for a little bit. I probably won't stay for the whole thing. I do have a few things I need to get done here today, but I'll jump on for half an hour or so.
Nice.
Pete, please hang around. I want to have a quick chat with you after. But thanks everyone for being here. No Patreon channel member only stream after this today, but I will do something for you guys over the weekend. There'll be a Patreon only live stream in the next couple of days, and make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell, because I've got a really fun video dropping in about 90 minutes time. If you want to see Desert Rat do a real life parachute jump, you've got to tune in.
Dropping in,
parachuting in. I've got a video parachuting in. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, Pete. And thank you to everyone in the chat. I hope you had a Merry Christmas. Best wishes for the new year. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Yep.